Good afternoon, boys and girls. It is Monday, May 4th, 1 o'clock. Actually, it's 1:06, I'm a little late, sorry. Grading your comma assignments from your Google Slides this morning, so look for that to be returned to you. Make sure that you're checking your work, and a couple of you are doing it correctly. Actually, everybody's doing it correctly. You're just not putting the commas in the right place. Make sure you look at the lesson slides before you do the practice slides. Go back and check if you're not sure. Make sure you check the rules for commas for addresses and for dates. And that was your main assignment, language 3.2b, your standard for today. I'm also giving back your essays as well. So make sure you check your email. If I have something that you need to fix, I will email you, and you can check the comments and then fix them for me. Other than that, you should be doing iReadyPath, your independent reading, and your Google slide associated with your independent reading, and your spelling city assignment for today. So that's what I had you do today, and hopefully you're out. It's getting really windy out now. I was out a little bit messing with the pool, and stuff starting to blow away a little bit. So of course, when I open up the pool, it gets windy and yucky out. So but it's turning blue, which is good, and I'm sure it'll get messy again today with the winds, but it is what it is. Such is our life right now. Nothing's easy. So chapter 18 with Mr. Popper's Penguins. It's called April Winds. So we just got done April, so it's kind of interesting to see that this chapter is called April Winds. And if you remember from chapter 17, it was called Fame. So the Penguins were getting very famous. Everybody loved their shows, but something was bothering the Penguins. They weren't really happy towards the end of the chapter. So I am not sure. It says up to now it had not been too difficult to keep the Penguins comfortable, but a warm spring wind was blowing across Boston Common. So maybe it's getting too warm and they're not comfortable. So we're going to see what happens. April winds. Maybe, remember, Penguins, they like cold weather. So maybe it's going to be too warm for them. I'm not really sure. But that's my prediction. We'll see. If it was unseasonably warm in Boston, it was actually hot in New York. In their rooms at the Great Tower Hotel overlooking Central Park, the Penguins were feeling the heat badly. Mr. Popper took them up to the roof garden to catch whatever cool breeze might be blowing. The Penguins were all charmed by the sparkling lights and the confusion of the city below. The younger birds began crowding over to the edge of the roof and looking down at the great canyons beneath them. It made Mr. Popper very nervous to see them shoving each other, as if at any moment they might succeed in pushing one over. He remembered how the South Pole penguins always did this to find out what danger lay below. The roof was not a safe place for them. Mr. Popper had never forgotten how badly frightened he had been when Captain Cook had been so ill before Greta came. He could not risk the chance of losing one of his penguins now. Where the Penguins were concerned, nothing was ever too much trouble for him. He took them downstairs again and bathed them under the cold showers in the bathroom. This kept him busy a large part of the night. With all this lack of sleep, he was quite drowsy the next morning when he had to call the taxis to get to the theater. Besides, Mr. Popper had always been a little absent-minded. That is how he made his great mistake when he said to the first taxi driver, "Regal Theater." "Yes, sir," said the driver, threading his way in and out of the traffic of Broadway, which greatly interested both the children and the Penguins. They had almost reached the theater when the driver suddenly turned. "Say," he said, "you don't mean to say those Penguins are going to be on the same bill with Swenson Seals, do you?" "I don't know what else is on the bill," said Mr. Popper, paying him. "Anyway, here's the Regal." And they piled out and filed in the stage entrance. In the wings stood a large, burly, red-faced man. "So these are the Popper performing Penguins, huh?" he said. "Well, I want to tell you, Mr. Popper, that I'm Swen Swenson, and those are my seals in there on the stage now. And if your birds try any funny business, it'll be too bad for them. My seals are tough, see? They'd think nothing of eating 2 or 3 penguins apiece." From the stage could be heard the hoarse barks of the seals, who were going through their act. "Papa," said Mrs. Popper, The penguins are the last act on the bill. You go run back quick and get those taxis, and we'll let the penguins ride around a while until it's time for their number." Mr. Popper hurried out to catch the drivers. When he returned, it was too late. The Popper performing penguins had already discovered the Swenson seals. Uh-oh. "Papa, I can't look," cried the children. There was a sound of dreadful confusion on the stage. The audience was in an uproar, and the curtain was quickly rung down. When the Poppers rushed onto stage, both penguins and seals had found their stairway leading to the Swensons' dressing room and were on their way upstairs. "I can't bear to think what's happening up there," said Mr. Popper with a shudder. Mr. Swenson only laughed. "I hope your birds were insured, Popper," he said. "How much were they worth? Well, let's go up and look." "You go up, Papa," said Mrs. Popper. "Bill, you run out of the theater and call the police to come and try to save some of our penguins." "I'll go get the fire department," said Janie. When the firemen with a great clanging came and set up their ladders so that they could get in through the window of Mr. Swenson's dressing room, they were a little vexed to find that there was no fire at all. However, when they found 6 black-mustached seals sitting barking in the middle of the room, with 12 penguins parading gaily around them in a square, they felt better. Then the policemen came in their patrol and climbed up the ladder which the firemen had left against the building. By the time they two came through the window, they could scarcely believe their eyes. For the firemen had put firemen's helmets on the penguins, which made the delighted birds look very silly and girlish. Seeing the firemen so friendly with the penguins, the policemen naturally took sides with the seals and put policemen's caps on them. The seals looked very fierce with their long black mustaches and black faces underneath. The penguins under their fireman's helmet were parading in front of the policemen, while the seals in their policemen's caps were barking at the firemen when Mr. Popper and Mrs. Swenson finally opened the door. Mr. Popper sat down. His relief was so great that for a moment he could not speak. That's good news. "You policemen had better get your hats off my seals," said Mr. Swenson. "I got to go down on stage and finish the act now." Then he and his 6 seals slipped out of the room with a few parting barks. "Well, goodbye, ducks," said the firemen, regretfully removing their helmets from their penguins and putting them on their own heads. Then they disappeared down the ladder. The penguins, of course, wanted to follow, but Mr. Popper held them back. Just then the door flew open, and the theater manager burst into the room. "Hold that man," he shouted to the policeman, pointing at Mr. Popper. "I have a warrant for his arrest." "Who, me, Mr. Popper?" said Mr. Popper in a daze. "What have I done?" "You've broken into my theater and thrown the place into a panic. That's what you've done. You're a disturber of the peace." "But I'm Mr. Popper, and these are my performing penguins, famous from coast to coast." "I don't care who you are. You haven't any business in my theater." "But Mr. Greenbaum is going to pay us $5,000 a week at the Regal." "Mr. Greenbaum's theater is the Royal, not the Regal. You've come to the wrong theater. Anyway, out you go, you and your performing penguins. The patrol is waiting outside." Oh my, went to the wrong theater. Next chapter is called Admiral Drake. All right, so they got into a little bit of trouble there. Hopefully he won't get arrested. I'm not sure what's going to happen in chapter 19. So this is a nice story. I like this. I'm getting into this book. Izzy's already read it, so she promised not to ruin the ending for me. The movie is definitely a lot different than the book, but it is on demand if you want to watch it. I think one of the Xfinity movie channels is playing it, so you can watch it if you're bored one day. I'm going to do a Google Meet for read alouds from after this book is done. And I'm going to pick another book after Mr. Popper's Penguins, and I'm going to do it at 1 o'clock. And I'm probably going to do it live with a Google Meet so that you guys can ask questions and I can ask you questions. And we'll do that every day at 1 o'clock. So I'm not going to use YouTube anymore after Mr. Popper is done. So that's one of the changes I'm going to do. And my wife, as I was outside, briefly told me that school was canceled for the rest of the year. So that's kind of a major bummer. I'm actually not happy about it at all. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to make the best of it and see what we can do. We kind of thought that was coming down this week and came down today. So unfortunately, we're not going to be together until the fall, hopefully, which kind of stinks because I miss you guys, and both classes are awesome this year. Kind of figures my two favorite classes, but we'll make it work, and hopefully, we'll do the best we can. What I do have recommendations for most of you, if you're watching this as we go forward this summer, that you're going to have to keep up with some things. I have a Scholastic packet for the summer. I want you to keep doing that. I want you to keep reading. I will be keeping this Google Classroom open throughout the whole summer. That might even be a recommendation by administration, is to kind of touch base with our classes to keep you guys, not so much assign you assignments and teach, but just be there and maybe just go over things. There might be something planned for the summer. I'm not sure. If it was up to me, there would be, so that there wouldn't be too much slide over the summer, especially since we're not in class as much as we're used to. But we'll see how that's going to be planned. But there's a big uncertainty now, being that schools are canceled for the year. So looks like we'll be here for another 6 weeks doing this online, and I'll try to make it as fun as possible for you guys. But I want you to try your best and keep with it, because it's important. If you get lazy and start thinking, oh, school's canceled, you still have grades. Grades aren't canceled. School's just not going to be in person. So I still want you to learn. I still want you to go over all the standards. So far, we've done ask and answer questions as a review, main idea as a review, and this week we're doing grammar standards and theme. And then as we go forward for the rest of the year, we're going to touch on some standards that I feel the whole class needs instruction on. Wednesday, we're going to do small group instruction with some of you for writing. So I'm going to conference with you for some on your writing research reports. And then next week, we'll start our personal narrative writing. All right. Hope you guys enjoy your day. It is windy. I'm going to bring the umbrellas down and put some stuff down. And I was inflating some of the rafts, but it's so windy, I don't want them to blow away, so maybe I won't do that. I'm going to have some lunch and try to enjoy the day. It's still sunny and nice out, but it's getting windy for the rest of the afternoon. But hopefully all your assignments are good. I haven't had too many questions this morning, so keep working hard, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8:30. Remember, your surprise in a bag. So tomorrow, put something in a bag. Doesn't have to be. Don't care what bag it is, and then we'll try and guess what's in your bag, and it'll be kind of like a show and tell if someone guesses what's in your bag. All right, guys, have a good day. Bye.